get him there. Alright. Oh. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is January 12th at 5:39 p.m. and I really do love creation and art and despise destruction, but without destruction there's no creation, that kind of thing. Often I go through so many notebooks, journals, planners, all these things that just take up space over time. And I have like a big stack in my bedroom just full of old journals, old things, and it's like it was always someone else's journals that I've filled out. I didn't create one for myself. And I was just kind of going through some stuff in a filing cabinet, and I noticed a really cool like planner, but it said every hour on the hour and like every half an hour, so you can like manage your day within the minutes. And I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I need right now. Because without order in life, there is only chaos. And chaos leads to destruction, self-destruction, and the end. So I'm not going to go down that path of like just wasting more time on something that should have taken like 5 minutes and it took me like an hour or something like that. But if I manage myself to the T, Tony, you know. So this is pretty cool. I created my own little notebook binder. So it actually came with all the individual sleeves. It was just the filler to put it into the notebook. I got a little piece of plastic out of the garbage can, and that was perfect. I spiral bounded this, and I interweaved it, and it's pretty solid. I got a bunch of different art pieces from my college art book. When I was in college, there was a stack like that big of different art pieces, like a collaboration, and they had poems, art pieces, different things from students that submitted their stuff to the class or the whatever it was. My language arts English teacher, whatever you call him, he took notice of my art and was like, Tony, you know, you should submit your stuff to that. And it's one of those things like I'm learning to work well with others. It's awesome to like really get to know people and try to work together and work on the same goal. I've always wanted that with my art, but I've just never had a like-minded individual to bounce ideas off of besides my dad. It's kind of cheating because like I came from him, and so it's like we have the same brains and like the engineering aspect of life. There's a process and you have to go do XYZ. You can't just be like 5, 10, 3, cucumber, you know? Like a lot of people do. But this front sleeve is actually like a sleeve that you put in a binder. I tape that to the side and also tape this on the back. This is another art piece by Mylan Nagust, something like that. It's acrylic painting. I actually added this little cross, and it's the Nowhere van. And I realize life sometimes, it feels like mentally you've done everything. But then you look around and it's like, I've gone nowhere. It's like you're running on a treadmill that's on full blast. You're just, and then at the end of the day, you get off and it's like, you're out of breath, but you've gotten nowhere in life, physically. But mentally, you're like, I feel like I'm 100 kind of thing. The cool thing about this, since it's a sleeve, I cut out every single art piece that I love, and I want to share that with you guys. When I open this up, I actually place one of my art pieces from high school. It's a tiki head from just inspiration. Below I put raw because I want to signify myself as the creation of everything, because when you limit yourself, you limit yourself. But you have no limits, there's nothing you can't do, that kind of thing. So better to just describe yourself as the creator, because you create. That's what you do. That's who you are, you know? Eat, sleep, build. Right now I'm building a future, not AI future. So, ancient Egyptian sun god of creation and destruction, believed to have created himself and the world along with every other god. Nightly rituals traversing through the underworld, battling the serpent Apep to ensure the sun would rise again. Humans were a byproduct of his tears. Pharaohs often were seen as divine descendants. Because if this god, ancient Egyptian god, supposedly, simply by crying, created humanity, what was he afraid of? Himself? Because if he's the god of creation and destruction, his biggest fear would be himself. So I want to go through with some of these amazing art pieces. This I went to college from 2021 to 2020. I started 2020 like late, and then kind of faded out. I don't want to say dropped out because I personally decided this wasn't for me, and just nothing. I didn't make friends. I had acquaintances. I just didn't connect with any of them. I didn't feel anything. Everything I did felt meaningless. And AI is here, and it's like I guess it's a good choice because engineering, that's a robot's job, honestly. Like a few years from now. So Octopi, my guy. This one's pretty awesome. It is acrylic painting by Trista Miller. I don't know any of these people, by the way. I never met any of these people. I just pulled it out of the book, literally pulled it out of the book, and it's this octopus in this black void, maybe underwater, deep sea, whatever. But with the dots only being the actual octopus itself, and that is actually called pointism in art. Point, like a pen point, but with painting, it's just a little boop. And when I pulled that out of the book, I was like, huh, what's the pointism? You know, like what's the point? But what's the pointism? Pun on words, some punny guy. And then we got See Me, Save Me, and this one like really called to me because we're all the same, whether you like it or not. Life is life, and when you separate you versus them, that's when people can do whatever you want to you. But we're all the same. You're not going to kill someone that you think is your brother, but if you say that they're the enemy, civil war, families against families, like it's all political. It's all control. Um, this one's a drawing. It says every single type of art medium on the bottom right, and the bottom left it says, well, I kind of ripped out the beginning of his name, unfortunately, her name, their name, Barchus, lioness, and a lion consoling each other. I don't know the backstory, but it makes you feel, and that's what I love about art. You look at something and you're like, what do I feel from this? Very warming, like endearing picture. It is a charcoal drawing. Anyone that's used charcoal understands how much it smudges. Anytime you bump into it, like your arm starts to get all charcoaled up because you're constantly going over previous charcoal with a little rectangle of charcoal. I do have a charcoal set. There are different types of charcoal. It's pretty intense. Like when you go into art, it's the depth, the detail, the history, the knowledge. It's there, and we're just kind of recreating existence through a different art medium. And charcoal, you can burn it, or you can smudge it on some white pieces of paper and create anything you want. And it was created by Alina Miragarodskaya. Alina Miragoradskaya. It sounds very African American-y, or a lot of times it's transfer students, so they possibly were from Africa. So this is has more meaning behind it now. Now it's like, this is from my homeland, this is where everything started. Is astounding to me. This one is titled No Air. It is of a woman suspended in midair or underwater. I mean, there's oxygen underwater, even though you're underwater. That's what fish breathe, even though they're underwater. It's by Molly Mahoney, M-A Honey. And this is also a charcoal painting. And it's like, wow. It's so realistic. It's so beautiful. Like, the tortured soul can create the beautifulest pieces. I know that because I am very tortured. The world does that to you over time as an artist. This one, a little tugboat escort. Pretty cool. Tugboats always come and go all the time. So this is like a daily occurrence. So I can vouch that's exactly what a tugboat looks like. By Spring James. This is a watercolor painting. I really appreciate the scale, the depth. It looks very realistic as further you take it back. But up close you can see like obviously it's watercolor. But that like messes with your brain and it like adds more details. It's art's always weird. You get close to it, you're like, what is that? Bunch of dots, and you get out of like 5 feet, and you're like, whoa, that's the Mona Lisa or whatever, you know. This one is kind of close to my heart and soul. Juliet was my previous dog. She is no longer with us. She her legs gave out. The one thing that she used, she would run up these hills. It would be like an 80-degree slope. She goes right up it, and it would be pitch black out. We'd be walking fearless, absolutely fearless. She would bolt straight into the darkness, right into the tree line. But anytime I would call her back, she would always come back. Always. She would be always by my side, and she's my girl. She was. Now she's my other girls. This piece is called Together. So I had to rip it apart. Because I know in my heart, they can rip anything from you, but you can never separate us. And this piece is by Natasha Dalek, I think, Daleki. And this is a photograph. And the imagery of, oh, we're just playing, walking together, and then life has different plans, but we're still together. That's all that matters. It's not the destination, man. It's the journey. Very true statement. This one, man, titled Drowning. So it's a woman slightly submerged underwater. And this one's very watered color pencils. I've never used watercolor pencils, but that sounds quite creative because look at all the vast colors you're able to blend very easily. Pencils are more fine. Painting is very smudgy sometimes. I like fine point pens. I like pencils. Sharpies kind of bleed too much. This piece is called Blue Tears. This one's by Alex Rushmer, and it's a watercolor painting. I absolutely love this piece, but I was like, there's another piece that was pretty cool. I wanted to put two in one. So I ripped this one in half by Cheryl Hicks. It's like a woman with a lighter towards her face, and I liked it, but they really messed up on the nose, so I just ripped it in half and took this piece by this person, and Alex Rushner and Cheryl Hicks. I created my own little art piece with it, and the title, it says The Girl with Tears. It was a good contrast of the orangey yellow hue and the blue. So that's another little play on art. That's what it's all about. It's about being creative. It's not what AI is. It's just ripping other people's stuff apart. I'm literally ripping people's stuff apart and adding it together. I'm not like boop 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 boop. Oh, it's mine. I'm just. It's two pieces. Now it's one piece. So, and this one's called The Steamed Bun Shop by Piai. I don't know. It's a Japanese food market place, and it's an ink drawing, and it's very surreal. It's very lived in. The characters are obviously say something, and it's authentic. They probably are a Japanese foreign exchange student, and I placed that as the cover of this piece, or I guess now it's a piece. Well, it's two pieces right now. So this one was another piece that I drew. It was the fishing for shrimp, and I guess in Japan they have these little vats of shrimp cases, and you can fish for shrimp in Japan. Sounds awesome. There's nothing like that in the United States. I don't know why. The United States is my home, but sometimes I'm like, Japan is better, just straight up. So I kind of want to go through this little notebook I created just today, and I'm very proud of it. I want to use it. I'm going to show you guys what life can bring you if you believe in yourself. So the first page it kind of I kind of used it for the opening, like hype myself up. It's pretty cool. The first page literally says brain dump. It's like just dump your brain on paper. Just everything that's in here, put here. And then here it shows the date. Obviously today. On the first it says top priorities, and it just says three things. Then there's get it done, which is pretty awesome. Like just a little checklist. And then down here it says grateful for, and that's a reminder. Your North Star, you always have to have that. You always have to have your goal, your end goal. What is this all for? What's the purpose? Why? In college, I never knew my why. Just because someone told me to. Here on the far right, it shows by the hour. It starts at 6 a.m., then it goes all the way to 10 p.m. This piece, what I would do is I would draw half of a torso and then get my phone, and it's a reflection of mirror, so it would create the other half. And so all I would have to do is create one side of it, and then reality would expose the other. And this piece is really cool. I'll bring it a little bit closer. This is when Black Ops 3 came out, and they had that like really cool dark version of sci-fi. People's arms got ripped off, they replaced with everything, you know. And this is like a hooded dark trooper version. I don't know if it's like a cyborg guy. I have a lot of them, so this one's really cool. You can kind of tell, kind of hard, but pretty much it's a straitjacket. But the straitjacket is installed onto that person. Every joint has different connecting bits, and there's a face mask connected right here. And anytime they try to restrain, break out of it, it would slowly restrict their airflow so they couldn't breathe as much, and it would clamp down their face, just going. You can kind of see right there. This piece, not art class, but every single class I would just be like, this is meaningless. I knew it at the time, and so I'll just create. And I'm glad, because other people didn't. This really is reminiscent of this is really reminiscent of a Gundam robot. I think it's Gundam. Yeah, not Gundam style, just the anime. It's cool design. I'm not into that part. This one's like a bug creature, kind of like a spider with fangs with the 6 eyes. That's what I get from it. And then right here, the torso has like that mesh that the predator uses, and it's like if it's mesh, it reminds me of the spider mesh and the spider web, that kind of thing. And then there's no specific order. I'm just going by what I grab. This one is very, very regal. Really appreciate this one. It's very like grandiose. Like you see him coming, you're getting out of the way. Big guy, big old broad shoulders, probably deep voice. Like what are you doing here? That kind of thing. And when he would talk, maybe his face mask right here, those little angled slits going straight up, like would activate red or something, identifying his mind state, something like that. Just whatever. Be creative. This one's really trippy because he has like mandibles. Mandibles are like insects, how they have the big things that go around, like the bugs that roll the poop. I don't know what they're called. They look like big rhinos. That's what this reminds me of. These guys have like big things that just protrude out of their faces, and their eyes are like big lines going straight up, big broad shoulders. Who knows if this would clamp down on their enemies or like shoot out, or just different crazy things. This one's cool. I actually forgot this one when I cut it out of the page. I'm like, I don't remember this at all. So this one's like a sci-fi destroyed robot with his arm like oozing oil or blood or grease or whatever you want to call it. And it's very reminiscent of Transformers in a way. How when they destroy an Autobot, they're just kind of like shredded apart. This one is like a knight with a blade. All of them are different, because I'm different. I think different, obviously. But this one, very beautiful design, very brought together. Like he's very holding the blade with the hilts right here, like almost a soldier in battle. And the blade itself actually it comes apart in sections, and who knows, it breaks off. When it breaks off, it explodes, or something crazy. And then we got an unfinished piece. You can't really see right here, but this piece was it's unfinished. I can't really tell. Was it gonna be good? It just kind of blurs together. Not really anything meaningful. This one reminds me of Warframe. Warframe had like this really cool like feathering metal look, and I love that like flower inspiration type of like the face would blossom from the center, it would go outwards, and different petals would be the armor, and who knows it it could pop off and regenerate or something crazy. This one is more so of like a modern day Renaissance idea, like a future modern day good future, not bad future, because they have like a respirator mask. Here's when we get to the really, really dark, cool aspect of it. So this one was a public execution. Who knows? It could have been this guy, but from the side, because it kind of has that same sort of like holding the sword, and who knows if he was being like honoring someone, and then someone else came behind and like took him out. But this is a very emotional piece. You can feel his sorrows. He's praying to whatever god that took whatever life that took from him, kind of thing. And in return, what does God do? He takes his life from someone else takes his life, that kind of thing. And the red really contrasts with the black and white, and it's just the splat, just all of it just everywhere. And even right here, you can see I paid attention. The bullet, the trajectory, right there, and it didn't look like the shrapnel. It could be shrapnel from the helmet itself, but I like to believe this dot right here is the bullet. Like obviously, these ones straight up predator alien that has back tendrils that like shoot out maybe plasma or something crazy, but the face is just crazy. I've never shared these art pieces with anyone, so you guys are the first to ever see this. Well, I've showed my friends and family, but that's pretty much it. And then on the bottom section, got this art piece. This one's kind of trippy. Bug face. But all of these kind of like blur together in a way. But this is the one that like really stood out to me. And here's one of the very few art pieces that I drew the opposite, like the reflecting side. And that's just an example just to show you guys these designs are good. They shouldn't be scrapped. That's why I ripped them out on my page, in my notebook, and like I'm gonna put them on the wall. But I really appreciate the overall like stature of these guys. The frame, you can tell that these guys are buff. They're big. They're big and burly. They're ready to do anything, take anything, you know. This art piece, it's all of those previous art pieces combined. So it's kind of hard to see with the glare. I'll hold it really close. So what you're seeing right now is all of those art pieces you saw previously, but reflected, and I sharpied it in with a pen, or a Sharpie, black Sharpie, and it immediately, the contrast of all of the outlines made the inverse, which I mean is like, if you take black, you take all the blacks and turn them white, and all the whites turn them black. And so that's what I mean by inverse. It's all the different art pieces. You can see this one's it stands out. I Sharpie it in. You can see the reflection on the thing. But there's 6 of them right there. And then what I loved about it was the fact that it's like 2 art mediums. It's drawing, and then 3. It's drawing, then it's digitally lasering it, and then I'm like sharpening it in. So you're like seeing multiple renditions of the same thing, which is really interesting. This side, I like turn it down or something. I'm hit worse. Here's like that Black Ops 3 one. Can I go upwards with it? But this art piece is pretty remarkable because it's just so much hard work on my part. I did all those pieces in between classes, during class. I was paying attention, but I'm so obviously had ADHD, still do or something. Or I just have to do something. Otherwise, it's like I think and I ponder, and then I'm like I lose hope, and then I think bad things. I definitely notice that cycle, so I have to keep moving forward. The final pieces I want to present to you guys are pretty awesome. They're not as awesome as these ones up here, but this one's a three-quarter perspective of a guy holding his head up, like me looking up to the stars or whatever. I don't know. I've always had distinct features, characteristics of my face. Thanks to my dad, he's had, I don't know, he just got it from God, kind of thing. And when you view yourself in your artwork, you almost can create like a version of yourself that you always wanted to be. Stuff like that. This piece. Ooh, baby. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Details. Beauty. Beauty right there. This was the drawings, the SketchUps for my sculpted helmet. I sculpted out of clay. The initial idea was to have a lot of colorful wires poking out of the head because it's like very damaged. And even up here you can see there's like a little cooling fan because obviously it's going to get hot in there. You need a little fan to cool down. And then there's very huge scratch marks on his face. And you can see even the visor, it just like kind of breaks apart and it shreds. Everything is so visceral. You can see this guy went through something. Whether he's alive or dead, who knows. And this is just a side profile, like the opposite side. And so, keep this in mind. This I did sophomore year of high school. It shrunk down 20%. It was a life-size stormtrooper helmet. And you can tell by all. I had this. Here's the Tower of Hats. Pretty awesome. Right here is a glass head that I sculpted all of my helmets off of. And it's pretty awesome because it's a life-size head, so I don't have to use my head as a base template. I already have a template for myself. And so I can just work on this thing that's already in front of me. That's why you can see all these like very minute little patches of clay that was ripped off, and you can see the fingerprints and the scratch marks and the holes. It's pretty intense. This was the clean side because I wanted a clean side and a dirty side. The dirty side's the cool side. At this angle, this is where it's like, certain angles it doesn't look good, but like the side profile, that's what I spent working on because I wanted 3 scratch marks, very reminiscent of Finn's handprint on his stormtrooper helmet, the blood. Very few times we ever see blood in Star Wars, and that's one of them. So, say what you will. Disney doesn't do everything right, but that one thing I really enjoyed. So I put the scratch marks on here, and little tally marks to indicate how many battles he's won, how many enemies he's destroyed, whatever. You look at it, it has character. You know what it is. You know it's been through things. It leaves a mark on you. That's why I put this little mark on myself, because sometimes in life, you go through things. And I've been through a lot. On the back of this is where I went crazy. All these little holes right here, I just got the X-Acto blade that I have right over here, and I'm just like, because I want some sort of like scorch, destroyed marks. You can really tell the absolute carnage. And I even put one single bolt right here, little hole, because who knows, like a blaster fire that went specifically right there and he's dead, kind of thing. So that kind of indicates like, what did this guy go through, And it's in person, it's obviously better, Everything's better in person. But I put holes everywhere that you can see the light shine through, like right here. See my hand? So I obviously had lots of intentions. And when you hold up this piece with the original draft piece, it's remarkable, you know? You can do anything. But people squander everything every day, and it's disheartening because people can do so much more what they are. And that's why I'm here. It's to remind everyone that everyone's artist. Everyone's their own godlike being in their own eyes. And they can share that with the world, or they can squander it to the AI. That's all I gotta say. Have a great day. Have a great life. See you next time.